So, you know all those headlines about a naval blockade? Turns out, while everyone was looking one way, something much, much bigger was happening in the shadows. We're talking about a secret deal, mercenaries, missiles, a multi-billion-dollar betrayal. And it all leads directly to the price you're paying at the pump. Seriously, let's get into it. I mean, this is the question, right? Why is gas suddenly so much more expensive? You feel it every time you fill up the tank. You just watch those numbers spin and your wallet gets lighter. Well, I'm here to tell you it's not some random accident. It's not just supply and demand. It's the fallout from a massive geopolitical chess move that almost nobody saw coming. Yup, $4.12 a gallon. That's the painful reality for so many of us right now. But that number, it's just a symptom. It's the end result of a way bigger story, one filled with shifting loyalties and secret deals. And that's exactly what we're going to pull the curtain back on today. Okay, so here's the deal. The official story, the one you saw in the news, was all about a naval blockade. But the real story? Oh, the real story is a secret betrayal. Behind all that noise, a really sinister transaction was going down. We're talking about a $5 billion deal that completely flipped the script. So to really understand this, we've got to start in Islamabad. I like to call this the Islamabad mirage, because what we're about to see is a country playing two completely different games at the same time. One for the public and a very different one behind closed doors. I mean, you have to appreciate the sheer nerve of this double game. Publicly, for all the world to see, Pakistan is playing the role of the blessed peacemaker. They're hosting these high-stakes talks between the US and Iran, but secretly, it's a whole other story. They're basically acting as a front, all while scrambling to find anyone who would bail them out of their massive debt crisis. And that's why, let's be honest, these talks were a complete fraud. They were never going to succeed. This wasn't about peace. For Pakistan, this was about one thing and one thing only: survival. They were living in what some have called a debt-based reality, basically teetering on the edge of financial collapse. The whole peace talks thing, it was just a convenient cover. Okay, so while all this diplomatic theater is happening out in the open, another layer of this story is unfolding in secret. A huge military operation. And at the center of it, you have Pakistan acting as a courier boy for a much bigger player. And the key to this whole operation is something called the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or CPEC. You might have heard of it. It's this massive infrastructure project, roads, ports, the whole shebang, that China has been building for about a decade. The official story is that it's all for trade. But what happened here is that it was secretly activated and turned into a military superhighway. So check this out. Here's how this secret pipeline actually worked. First, China builds these incredibly advanced missiles, the kind designed with one purpose in mind: to take out U.S. aircraft carriers. Then they shuttle these missiles secretly through Pakistan using that CPEC corridor we just talked about. And finally, Pakistan makes the delivery to Iran. Just like that, Iran has the weapons it needs to keep the conflict going and really up the ante. And make no mistake, the goal here was huge. This wasn't just about giving Iran a few more rockets. The idea was to give them enough firepower to make the U.S. Navy think twice, to basically turn America's 11 nuclear aircraft carriers, the symbol of its global power, into, paper tigers. Okay, so you're probably thinking, why would Pakistan take such a massive risk? What could possibly be in it for them? Well, like always, you just have to follow the money. And that brings us to the price tag on this whole betrayal. $5 billion. That's what it cost. And let's be crystal clear, this was not foreign aid. This wasn't some friendly loan. This was a payment, cold, hard cash for services rendered. So what exactly does $5 billion buy you? Apparently, it buys you an army. In exchange for that money from Saudi Arabia and Qatar, Pakistan quietly sent about 13,000 of its troops, basically a full army division, over to Saudi Arabia. This is where it gets really interesting. It's like a form of shadow capitalism. So Pakistan gets this new $5 billion loan, right? And what's the first thing they do? They immediately turn around and use $3.5 billion of it to pay off an old debt to the UAE. It's basically a giant shell game, taking on new debt to pay off old debt, all financed by renting out your military. It's wild. There's a quote from India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, that just hits the nail on the head. He basically called Pakistan a broker nation, a middleman that takes a fee from everyone and doesn't really care who gets burned along the way. Okay, geopolitics, secret missile pipelines, billions of dollars changing hands. It can all feel pretty distant, right? But now we're going to bring it right back home because this high stakes global chess game has a direct line to your wallet, specifically to the price you pay for gas.
Think about it like this. Because this conflict was deliberately kept alive, the Strait of Hormuz, which is like a superhighway for global oil, got turned into a giant toll booth. And when there's chaos, whoever controls that toll booth gets to charge whatever they want.
And here's exactly how that chain reaction works. Pakistan plays its double game, which keeps the conflict simmering. That means the Strait of Hormuz stays a risky toll booth. Iran starts charging ships a reported $2 million just to pass through safely. And where do you think that cost goes? It gets baked into the price of everything on that ship, especially oil. It travels all the way down the supply chain and ends up right there on the sign at your local gas station.
And this isn't just about gas prices in the US. The ripple effects are global. Europe's economy took a massive $22 billion hit. But maybe the biggest, most long-term consequence is something called the UNization of oil. It's a huge deal. It means more countries are starting to buy and sell oil using China's currency instead of the US dollar. Every time that happens, it's a small chip away at America's long-held economic power.
So what does this all mean? When you zoom out and look at the whole picture, what is this one incident really telling us about the future? Well, it tells us that the old rules don't really apply anymore. We're entering a new world where those ironclad alliances of the past, they're being replaced by deals, by transactions. Loyalty itself has become just another commodity, something you can buy and sell for the right price. And ultimately, this whole episode is a giant flashing sign that the center of gravity in the world is shifting. You could say the global storm is moving. The era where Washington called all the shots is fading, and other powers are stepping up to the plate. Which leaves us all with a pretty heavy question to think about, right? In this new world where loyalty is up for sale, who gets to decide the price? And maybe more importantly, who's the one who always ends up paying for it?